It took 144 years to just near its completion. Yes, I say near, as it still hasn't been completed entirely. But why is it taking so long? Even longer than the time taken to build the pyramids? And what is this building exactly? Sagrada Familia is known as the world's tallest church, and this year it reached its final height of 566 feet upon the installation of its last major structural element, the cross atop the central tower of Jesus Christ. For anybody visiting Barcelona, the church is a grand must-visit destination. Its beauty is beyond astonishing, making passerbys look up at it every single time. It has reached a milestone that people never believed they'd be alive to witness. The ambition required to continue the project, even after a century, can be blatantly witnessed through its design, which was done by Antoni Gaudí. June 10th marked the 100th year anniversary of Gaudí's death. The blessing and inauguration of the Tower of Jesus Christ was done intentionally on Gaudí's centenary to honor his creation. 73-year-old Antoni Gaudí had passed away on 10th June in 1926, while walking his usual route to church in Barcelona when he was struck by a tram. As he wore modest clothes, people assumed him to be a beggar and didn't attend to him immediately, and due to that, exactly after 3 days, he passed away. How strange that in the olden days you should be assumed to be someone of a lower status. Nobody would see you as a fellow human. Nevertheless, the alignment of the completion and inauguration of the Tower of Jesus Christ with the centenary is a deeply symbolic achievement, not just for the designer, but for all the architects, craftspeople, and the structural engineers dedicated to preserving Gaudí's creation and executing his complex mathematical vision even long after his death. Furthermore, the Vatican recently declared Gaudí venerable, putting the legendary architect on the official path toward Catholic sainthood. Now, you may be wondering why so long though. Even a century or under it would have been more than enough, right? Why so many years? Although the structure is rather complex, it isn't the only reason for the structure's delay in completion. Design, funding challenges, and external events like the Spanish Civil War and the COVID-19 pandemic all played a major role in its delay. One of the biggest challenges facing the construction, and the reason why Sagrada Familia was not completed sooner, was funding. The church relied on donations from the public for a while, but the Spanish Civil War disrupted even the fundraising efforts, putting a stop to the progress. In addition, after the passing of Gaudí, when the project was passed on to the other architects, it was rather too complex for them to solve Gaudí's intention, and as a result, changes were made to the design. These changes to the design of the church over the years also contributed to the slowing down of construction. A major challenge that the architects faced was during the Spanish Civil War when the church's plans were destroyed. The destruction of the original plans and models didn't happen right at the turn of the decade, but rather in July 1936 at the absolute catastrophic outbreak of the Spanish Civil War. It was a dark and chaotic moment in Barcelona's history, and the story behind it comes down to a mix of wartime politics, revolution, and a deep-seated anger against the institution of the church. At the time, the Catholic Church in Spain was officially and deeply allied with the conservative, wealthy upper class and Franco's nationalist movement. Because of this alliance, revolutionary and anarchist groups viewed the church and the clergy not just as religious institutions, but as political enemies. Anti-clerical violence swept through Barcelona, and churches all across the city were targeted, looted, and set on fire. Even though Antoni Gaudí designed the Sagrada Familia as the cathedral of the poor, it was still a massive Catholic monument and couldn't escape the chaos. And for that exact reason, during this catastrophe, the models and the pans were completely obliterated. On the 20th of July 1936, a group of armed anarchists had stormed the unfinished basilica. They broke into Gaudí's personal workshop and studio on the site and set it ablaze. Decades worth of original blueprints, architectural drawings, sketches, and geometry notes were instantly turned to ash. Because Gaudí famously preferred working in 3 dimensions rather than flat blueprints, he had spent over 40 years crafting highly intricate, large-scale plaster models to show future builders how to navigate the complex engineering. The revolutionaries violently smashed these plaster models into thousands of tiny fragments, along with vandalizing the crypt where Gaudí was buried. But fortunately, his actual tomb survived the incident. The loss was considered an architectural tragedy. Many believed the building would have to remain an abandoned ruin forever because nobody knew how Gaudí had planned to finish it. However, after the war ended, Gaudí's surviving disciples and craftsmen painstakingly crawled through the cinders, collected shards of plaster no larger than a fingernail, and spent decades piecing the 3D puzzle back together alongside old photographs to reconstruct his original vision. Despite the harsh challenges, Sagrada Familia has been able to continue construction thanks to the efforts of the Sagrada Familia Foundation and architects that never gave up on it. If they had, the church would have been buried or a ruin by now. The foundation has been raising money through donations and ticket sales, and ever since construction has picked up pace in recent years. However, the church still relies heavily on public donations to finance its completion. The church does not just represent a place to worship, rather, it stands as a triumph of color, craftsmanship, and remarkable geometry. Sagrada Familia is a monument not just to faith, but to Gaudí's reverence for nature and mastery of complex engineering. Its completion is a testament to the efforts of the countless designers and architects who had to decipher plans for the church that were largely destroyed in the 1930s. Antoni had a vision, the vision of a reflective cross that shines by day and illuminates the skyline by night. The final architectural puzzle piece of the Sagrada Familia was installing the massive, brilliant white cross atop the Tower of Jesus Christ, which matched the architect's vision on the dot, standing alongside 17 other towers dedicated to the apostles, evangelists, and the Virgin Mary. Weighing roughly 100 tons and standing as tall as a 5-story building, this monumental structure took months of complex engineering to safely put in place. Lead architect Mauricio Cortez and his modern team faced a delicate balancing act. They had to stay completely loyal to Antoni Gaudí's vision, while simultaneously meeting strict safety regulations to keep the giant spire structurally stable and lightweight. And they executed Gaudí's idea perfectly. An interesting fact about the monument and its original designer was the fact that the structure of Sagrada Familia was built upon a major belief Gaudí held deep within his heart as he planned his architectures. The work of man should never surpass the work of God. A beautiful architectural philosophy he abided by. Gaudí was a deeply religious man, often called God's architect. To Gaudí, the mountains and hills created by nature were the ultimate form of architecture. He believed it would be an act of human arrogance to build a structure that pierced the sky higher than the natural landscape God had provided for Barcelona. Because of this specific rule, the Sagrada Familia is officially the tallest church in the world, but it will never be the tallest point in Barcelona. Now, although the entirety of the construction is still yet to be completed, it won't take much longer anymore. The further construction is predicted to be completed by 2032, but the only thing guaranteed is that the construction will end in a few years, that is, if no major disruption enters its course again. Despite the setbacks, Sagrada Familia remains one of the most popular tourist attractions in Barcelona. The church's unique architecture and rich history continue to captivate visitors from around the world. With construction ongoing and funding efforts still underway, there's hope that Sagrada Familia will one day be completed and stand as a testament to human perseverance and ambition.